Okay friends, it's time to do some cooking. I have with me a bunch of chicken breasts that I'm gonna slice down into thinner pieces for easier cooking, okay? So we're gonna begin with a Spyderco Z-Cut, a relatively new entry from Spyderco, which is intended strictly for the kitchen. And as you can tell, as you can see, it slices real nicely. It's extremely thin. I don't think I have anything as thin in my kitchen. You'll be hard pressed to find a thinner knife. So no, it's not meant to go super crazy. You probably don't have a lot of leverage to push down, but slicing is very easy with this blade, as you can just see there. Okay, let's do some further slices for some tacos. Spyderco released this knife, the Z-Cut, for around $20. I don't know if you can get a cheaper Spyderco anywhere. The steel that they're using is CTS BD1N, the same steel that you find in their Para 3, for instance. So it's a really good deal for the price, I think. Okay. Relatively long blade. For reference, here's an Opinel 12. This is close to 5 inches in length. This guy over here, this is 3.9, the Opinel number 10. Much more classic designs in their appearance. Performance, hard to beat Spyderco on this design. Look how your hand is away from the cutting media, especially if you grab it like this. You can chop down without your knuckles interfering with the cutting board, okay? That's one of the main issues that you find in knives that are trying to be useful in the kitchen. They don't have this, the edge is not as low to compare to your knuckles as this model, right? So traditional chef knives have that characteristic. Makes it really easy for chopping down. Okay. Z-Cut. I'm pleased with what I have here. They released this version in black as well, and also with serrations, which are relatively mild, so it's probably worth looking into. Okay, here we have the featherweight Spyderco Bark River Kalahari Camp 2. All right, a much smaller, thinner, and ultra lightweight knife compared to the other ones on the table. Yeah, right. So let's see how it does. Okay, let's finish up slicing these pieces of chicken down, and then we're gonna move into the splitting, the slicing in half, to see how if it does as well as the Spyderco Z-Cuts. The convex edge on Bark Rivers is well accomplished. They do a really good job. It surprises you whenever you use a knife like this, a Bark River edge. The knives are so stout, so heavy, so thick, yet they cut amazingly well. No effort whatsoever on this soft material. Okay, let's do the slicing down the middle part. Let's see how it does. Working myself around the tripod here. That was decent as well. I could further slice this one down even more. Let's do it. Yeah, very comfortable, very nimble in the hand as well for its size, and again, very sharp. Very sharp, guys. These Barkeys tend to come with a really good edge. This knife is quickly becoming my favorite larger fixed blade. It really is. The comfort in hand, the ergonomics, the handle shape. Man, look at that. The only critique that I have for it is that the handle is too slick. This is polished micarta. I would probably sand it down to make it rougher. That way it won't slip on me. Okay, but I can't wait to try this baby out on wood in some exciting trip. Bark River Kalahari Camp 2, making way for a much more classic and inexpensive option. Okay, the Opinel knives from France. We have the Opinel number 10 over here. Okay, number 10, it says so right there, which is 3.9 inches in length, carbon steel, carbone. Hope that's how you pronounce it. And then the Opinel 12. I've had this guy for about 8 years. Number 12, stainless steel. I don't like how it takes an edge. It's very, very thin behind the edge. All the Opinels are thin behind the edge. So even though I cannot get a really good edge on it, it still cuts well. But my point is that I much prefer carbon steel on the Opinels because of the way they take an edge and they keep it. So this guy's cutting well, but it doesn't. The edge has suffered a lot over the years, and in combination with the stainless properties, I cannot get the same edge that I can on the carbon one. One thing about the Opinel carbon knives, though, they will rust. They will rust. Those rust spots that you see there is from from leaving it wet for 10 minutes. Oh, it cuts a lot better, guys. Much better. Oof. This is a slicing beast. 90-degree edge here, spine for ferro rod if you are inclined to do that. If you're not familiar with Opinels, they lock with this ring over here. Okay, there's no play in any direction, almost 4 inches in length. This is 2 ounces, traditional look. You can stain the handle and make it darker if you want to. They're just really good values, guys. Really good values. I mean, you can spend a lot more money if you want to, but you're not gonna get much better performance, cutting performance, than you would on Opinels. If you pair this with a Mora and perhaps a Swiss Army knife with a saw, you're really good for an ultralight backpacking option. You are. If you're expecting to cut down some major trees, then you may want a large saw or perhaps an axe. But for knives, Moras and Opinels and sacks will get you home for sure at a good price, really good price. That's what you have to love about these designs. Made in France, by the way, made in the Swiss Alps, in the French Alps. Okay. All right. So I think that was a really good demonstration. Hope you liked it. I'm gonna sign off. Okay, let's continue doing some cutting on these different food items here. Let's slice down the peppers. Opinel number 10, making quick work of this soft material. By the way, who's welcome? Who's interested in some tacos tonight? I know my kids are, and I am too. I'm gonna eat the whole thing, so I take that back, guys. Next time. Actually, I'm gonna try keeping them a little bit longer and thinner. That way they look nicer on the tacos. All right, so let's try that this time. Very thin pieces. Do you guys use your knives in the kitchen? Or are you that hardcore that you only keep them for your woods adventures? Huh? All right, let's switch over to the Spyderco Z-Cut. The edge, well, see that? The edge needs some work. Yeah, it has taken a beating on porcelain plates, but people that have been cooking with it, so it's no longer that sharp. I need to work on the edge. Although I have to say that I touched it up prior to this cutting demo on the Sharp Maker. Only like 15 passes per side on the medium stones, so it needs more work on the edge. When it was brand new, it was extremely sharp. This is CTS BD1N steel from Spyderco, I believe they're putting that steel in their entry-level US-made blades. Okay, so those are the peppers. Let's move on to the onion with my favorite of the bunch, the Bark River Kalahari. Actually, this is also my favorite. Yeah, I know I'm a little crazy. Okay. I think the Kalahari camp is designed as more of a camp knife than a hunting blade. That long belly, that long sweep serves itself well for the kitchen as well as for skinning, based on the designer's comments. Mike Stewart was explaining how the Kalahari series is well suited for large game, large North American game, moose, elk, you name it. Okay. I think he mentions hippo as well, but I'm not interested at all in that use, so I'm sure it would serve well. Okay, the edge is there and the sweep is there, but it's not my interest. So for kitchen, as you can tell, it's cutting relatively well. Let's try to chop a little bit more. Get these two out of the way. How do you explain that a big, thick knife like this, that's 6.8 inches in length, almost 7 inches, cuts like this? The explanation is the attention to detail in the manufacturing process and the design, and the fact that they can get that convex edge really, really thin. We're almost there. Now let's try to do the last piece with the Opinel. Do you notice anything? Do you notice excellent cutting performance? I don't think I even have to chop the onions after doing this. Oh, these are nice, precise cuts, guys. Really nice. All right, guys, next step will be garlic. That will be a good test to the thicker Bark River. I'm sure the Opinel will have no issues whatsoever. Okay. My hands are dirty. I was just doing some yard work, picking up after my dog. Are you guys freaks like me and you wash your hands a lot prior to touching anything? Especially now that we have this horrible pandemic. Okay, time for garlic. 1 second. Yeah, get me a 7-inch blade that allows you to slice down garlic like this. Hope the camera is capturing what I'm doing. For the sake of time, I do need to get going soon. I'm just gonna try to chop it differently. This garlic is going on the chicken. Okay, ready to slice up some tomatoes. We're gonna attempt to make a pico de gallo here. This would be a lot faster with a chef's knife, for sure. You normally want your sharpest knife for this type of task. So, although this Opinel number 10 is very sharp, it has seen some cutting today, not just on that chicken earlier, but also on chopping down vegetables. And apparently that impact on the cutting board has not dented, but impacted the edge slightly. It's not razor sharp anymore. Granted, these tomatoes are very ripe, so they have a tendency of pushing down into themselves rather than allowing you to cut them. But we're doing what we can. All right. As you can tell, Opinels are well suited for these types of tasks. Delicate, intricate cutting on veggies in the kitchen. All right, now let's go for a even more delicate camping style fixed blade Kalahari Cam 2 by Bark River. Oh my goodness. Okay, I thought it was gonna cut better. There we go. Let's see. You think your knife is sharp? Try slicing down ripe tomatoes with it. It's gonna quickly reminds you that you could have a sharper edge on your knife. Regardless, the Kalahari is doing it. I need to be flexible with the portion of the edge that hits the tomato. Voy, mi amor, estoy cocinando, voy. And my daughter wants to play. For sure they are going to enjoy these tacos, for sure. Surely, for sure. You know what I'm saying. I don't know what I'm saying. ¿Estás viejito?
Otro quesito.
Otro quesito. He wants more cheese. Claro, cuida la mano, saca la mano.
Yo quiero comer completo, papá.
Good combination. Whiskey. What do you guys think? Do you think the Kalahari is cutting well for its size, almost 7 inches in length? Okay, now I'm gonna sign off and go get a really sharp knife. You guys want to see a sharp knife? Check out this cold steel Voyager with a reground, professionally done regrounding job. So the blade is now a little bit shorter, but the person before me removed a lot of material from the metal, so now we have a paper thin cutting edge. This is about as thin as an Opinel, which if you know Opinels, they are quite thin. So let's see how it cuts. This is Os 10A. Yeah, I have this. This is my sharpest knife by far. Can push cut on ripe tomatoes without problems. This is the importance of thin metal for knives. If you want a survival knife, you don't want something as thin as this. Although I do have a video where I'm batoning with a cold steel Voyager, same model, not as thin though.